Hi, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and I'm sharing a layout today for Papermaze, and I'm using a new collection this month. It's the Undersea Adventures collection by Echo Park, and it's a great collection, so much fun. As the name suggests, it's full of kind of underwater and seaside things or undersea things. So I had the idea to create kind of like an undersea scene on my layout. So I started off with this pattern paper. It's called Whale Hello, and the B side is this beautiful blue scale, kind of like a fish scale pattern. So I really wanted to use that for my background, but I get really nervous with pattern papers, and I don't necessarily feel comfortable using like the whole 12 by 12 sheet as a background. I like to have some white space to work with. So as much as I really wanted this paper as my background, in the end I settled on kind of having it like heavily feature instead of as a background sheet. So what I've done is I've torn a large section for the bottom of my page. I've trimmed about 1/2 inch off one side, so that leaves a white border kind of either side and at the bottom of that. And then I've torn another strip for the top, and the kind of idea is that that strip along the bottom will act as kind of like my underwater scene, and then I've got that blue section at the top, kind of like for sky. And I know it's a fish scale pattern and you don't tend to get fish scales in the sky, but I really wanted another strip of it at the top, and I think it works okay at the end. So I've torn those sections and I'm just distressing those before sticking them down, and then that gives me that white section in the middle there that just, I know it's not a massive white section, but it just makes me feel a bit more comfortable about building my layout with a bit of white space. And I forgot to distress the top section of that thin bit there, so I just had to do that with the blade of my scissors once I'd already stuck it down. But they're now in place, just stuck down with double-sided tape. I've already got my photo mounted onto white cardstock, but I wanted to add a little bit of colour behind it to help it pop off of that background. So I've pulled out some of the basil cardstock sheets from the Matchmaker pack, and I'm using the grey one and the navy blue one. And like I said, because my photo is going to overlap the patterned paper and the white, so I didn't want it to get lost. I wanted it to really stand out. So just by mounting it on a couple of different coloured cardstocks, that really helps my photo kind of pop off the page a bit. And I'm going to have it situated kind of over onto the left there, and I'm going to, like I said, build an underwater scene. So loads of fussy cutting coming up. I won't make you watch all of it, but I'm going to cut some whales from the A side of the Whale Hello paper. So that's a paper that I've used as my background there with the fish scales. This is the other side of that one. So I'm going to cut a few whales from that, just from the strip I had left, which wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of whole whales left. I think I got 2, maybe 3, can't remember now, but I got a few of those out. I'm also going to reach for a couple of the other patterned papers and do some fussy cutting from those as well. So quite a lot of the papers in this collection actually lend themselves really well if you like fussy cutting. You've got this one here with the whales. There's another one called Sneaky Sharks, which I think is really cute, and as the name suggests, he gets this one here, a page full of sharks. So I think it's got I think they're hammerhead sharks, probably great whites or something. I'm not really up with my shark knowledge. But this pattern paper here was the reason why I chose to work with this collection this month, because the 2 sharks featured on this paper both feature on my little boy's shorts in the photo. So I'm scrapping a pool photo. It's not exactly a sea or underwater photo. It's a pool photo, but it's got those sharks on his shorts, and I just couldn't resist once I'd seen those in the store. So I'm just going to take some time and fussy cut some of these out. There's also another patterned paper. It's called Swimming Submarines. You'll see it in a minute. It's a 12 by 12 full of colourful submarines. So I'm going to cut some of those out as well. And that's all going to help me just to build my underwater scene on that bottom half of my paper. So with the power of editing, I've managed to skip through the rest of those sharks. I've cut out quite a few there, and this is the Swimming Submarines paper. I'm going to cut a couple of these. Thinking about it now, actually, I've cut a red one and a grey one. I probably should have cut a yellow one out because I do pull in some yellow tones into this layout in a minute. So yeah, in hindsight, the yellow submarine possibly would have been better than the red. But hey ho, never mind. It's not too late to change it. I could always take the red one off and replace it with a yellow one at a later date if I wanted to. But yeah, just something that's dawned on me now. Shame it didn't dawn on me at the time, but never mind. So yeah, just going to take some time to fussy cut some of these out, and then I think I can get building my scene. So you'll notice a bit of a pause there. I took a break to kind of think of my title and what I wanted to use for my title. I've got the sticker sheet for this collection, but I haven't got the ephemera or tags or anything like that. So I was trying to think what I could use for my title. So this is the 4x4 journaling element pattern paper, and I'm cutting out this banner here that says let's make some waves. So I'm going to trial that as my title. I'm cutting it out, leaving a little bit of that orange border just to add a bit more colour to the page. Now obviously this isn't a seaside layout, it's a pool layout, so there weren't any waves, but he was doing a lot of splashing, so I thought it could work, and I'm happy to have that on the page. But once I start playing with things and moving things about, I kind of decide that the word waves is putting me off using it as a title. So in the end, I've got some puffy stickers that I have from an older Vicky Booting collection. It might be Let's Wander, I can't actually remember off the top of my head. Actually, it might be Storyteller, come to think of it. But there's one that says Smile Often, and I decide to go with that in the end. But I will come back to that in a minute. Because I'm not happy with that title, I kind of distract myself from making a decision by working on something else. I'm hoping everybody else does that and it's not just me. Struggling with something, so leave it to one side and do something else instead. So I've decided to work a bit more on my scene. So I wanted to create kind of like an ocean floor. So there's a 12-inch sticker on the sticker sheet that's perfect for that. It's got little bits of seaweed and coral and things. So I stuck that along the bottom. I've obviously had to trim a little bit off because I left that white border around the bottom of the page. So I've stuck that down, and I'm just pulling off a few of the other stickers. I've brought a fish in and the word splash. And I'm just going to try and build a little bit of a cluster down the bottom there. I pulled in one of those fussy cut sharks as well. And now I'm just kind of piecing things together. At the moment you'll see I've got that whale up at the top. He doesn't stay there. You don't get whales in the sky. It just wasn't going to work. But I knew I wanted something along the top. So this is where I decided that definitely was going to be sky instead of more ocean at the top. So I've pulled out a Bramble Fox perspective. It comes with a sun, and there's a little cutout part where this beautiful cloud fits in really nicely. So I'm going to have those at my top. And obviously that's where I start with the yellow. So I feel like I need to bring some more yellow in. So I've pulled from the sticker sheet a little yellow and orange seahorse there. He's going to sit down the bottom in that cluster. And then I decide I want some seaweed. So there was a couple of little bits on the sticker sheet that had tones of seaweed in, but nothing sort of big enough to what I was looking for. So I've pulled out a green basil cardstock. I don't think this one was from the Matchmaker pack. I think this was just from my stash. And I've just really badly drawn some seaweed on those. And now I'm just cutting them out, kind of changing them as I go. I don't know why I bother drawing things, because I never cut out what I've drawn. I always end up changing it. But I'm going to do a small one over for the right hand side there, and a slightly bigger one for over on the left. That just brings a bit more green into the layout. It just makes it a bit more of a realistic kind of scene to me, having that seaweed on the ocean floor. So it's going to take some time to get that cut out and stuck in place. So that's done, and now I'm going to start placing all of my fussy cut elements. As you can see, some of these sharks I'm going to have weaving in and out of the seaweed just to make it look a bit more realistic, just to give that seaweed a bit of a 3D look. And then I want to have this "Smile Often" sticker as my title. But I felt like it needed a backing of some sort, and so because I've got the yellow sun and that seahorse, I decided to use the yellow cardstock from the Matchmaker pack. I've just stuck it directly onto that, and I'm just trimming around it, leaving a really thin border, just for another pop of yellow to kind of try and tie it all together a bit better. So I'm going to have my title over onto the right there, and the "Let's Make Some Waves" banner over onto the left of my photo. Now I've got those sorted out and I know where things are going to go, I'm going to commit and start getting things stuck down. So I've placed some foam behind the seaweed there, just some thin strips of craft foam, just on the thinner strands, and then where it's a bit bigger I can add some square foam pads, and then I'm going to stick these sharks in amongst those just to make it look a bit more realistic, and I really do love how that looks. So I've got the bottom section kind of coming together nicely. I now need to get my photo in place and work on that middle section. So I've raised my photo up on foam. I quite often do that because I just find it helps it lift it from the page and helps to draw your eye to the photo and make it more of a focal point, especially on busy layouts when you've got a lot going on. Having your photo raised up on foam does help to draw the eye to it a bit. So I've raised that up on a big sort of rectangle bit of foam, and then the banner to the left and my title I've just raised up with some foam pads, and I'm going to place a few of those fussy cut whales just underneath each of those pieces either side of the bottom of my photo. Again, raising those up on foam pads just to make this scene look a bit more realistic and 3D. So I'm almost done by now. I've just stuck my bramble fox perspectives down with some glossy accents. I find that holds those really well. And then I wanted something in this top left-hand corner. It was looking a bit bare and it was bugging me. So I've pulled off a couple of stickers from the sticker sheet and placed those up there. Now I know you don't really normally get words and stickers floating in the sky, but I just wanted something there and I felt like those helped. I'm also going to stick a bramble fox perspective up there. It's a little cloud. I've also stuck one of the seagulls as well above my title. And I really love how this scene is coming together now. I'm almost done. I've just got one more finishing touch to add. Whenever I have fish or sharks or anything like that on a layout, I love to add Nouveau drops as little air bubbles coming out of their mouths. So this is a glitter Nouveau. I'm just adding 3 bubbles to each of the sea creatures, and a couple of those are going to be on top of my photo because those whales' mouths are on my photo. And then obviously just leave that to dry, and I love how that looks. Something I've done before and will definitely continue to do on sort of underwater layouts and pool layouts. Just love the way that looks. And that is me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I will pop links in the description box below for the Papermaze blog and also a direct link to this collection in the store. So do head over and check it out before it all sells out. But thanks again for joining me, and I shall leave you with the rest of the close-ups.